All right, good evening, afternoon. This is David Whiteley with ULTradez with my daily trade review. If you're new to the channel, I am in the process of attempting to get 20 funded performance accounts through Apex Trader Funding. And on a daily basis, I post my results. So here we go. The net, let me see if I can pull up my P&L today. I'm doing this late in the day. Because I had a ton of stuff going on. So I took a screenshot of my Rhythmic dashboard before it shut down, or before it reset for the night, because it's 7 o'clock Central Time, my time, and it reset. So end of the day, down $100. It was only $80 in trades, but I had a couple break-even trades, and so the commissions ate into that. A couple of the accounts got better fills than the others, so they're a little bit more favorable. It was really just a long day of waiting, and so I was being really picky and choosy about my trades, and really I only had one lot loser, and the others were either break even or small losses. So we'll go through that real quick. The RTY was my primary account or my primary instrument today. So the first trade I took was a break, an opening range break, which I normally don't take. However, this one this just rocketed down, which is, one of the biggest, I guess, clues that it's ready to break out of the opening range is when you get real strong bars coming into the opening range, it's likely that it'll break. You could look at this and say, well, here's a nice test of my SMA, or my EMA, sorry, the 5-minute EMA, this gold line here. And that would have been a better entry. The reason that I did not get in here is because we're kind of stepping up, right? We have a low, we have a high, we have a higher low, we have a higher low here, a higher high here. And so this is kind of breaking this trend, but it depends on whether or not you look at this as a significant pivot or not. It was too questionable for me. In hindsight, obviously that would have been great. So I put my order here one tick outside of the zone, got ticked in. It did move down, but I had my stop loss was trailing at 10 ticks, which for the RTY just isn't enough. And so I ended up getting stopped out for, I think, a couple, like 3 ticks of profit. So that was a little disappointing. I guess if I was gutsy, I would have got back in when it retested, but I'm not that gutsy. It's just not my trade. So then it just kind of, meandered around. Again, we have a test of the EMA and a breakdown for a little bit, but we have, it's just too stair-steppy coming into it. So it's not something I can trade. Here though, we cross through, right? So price crosses through both the 21 SMA and the 9 EMA. Creates a recent pivot high, comes down into our 9 EMA here. And so I do take this entry right here at the break of the candle that pierced the moving average. All right, so one tick above it. As soon as price breaks above it, I'm in. It was super choppy, as you can see. And what happened here was as soon as price pushed up, and I did it pretty early. I don't even know if it pushed up. Yeah, it didn't even push up 10 ticks, but it had been so choppy here that I wasn't feeling really confident, and it really didn't go very far. So I'm gonna call myself a correct in this. So I moved my stop to break even, and it came and ticked me out for break even. That was that trade. Here, price, kind of, beats around in the middle here between the averages. Finally pokes down below, creates a recent pivot low. Last time we've been down here was way over here, so that's, an hour or so. That's a good bit of time. Hold on, let me get this in the middle. There we go. So we have, it pierces our line. I go ahead and get in at a break of that candle. So as soon as price comes down here, it does come down one tick, ticks me in, and then immediately stops me out on the next candle. So that was my loss. You know, that is what it is. I don't know, you know, I don't know that I would have done anything differently. You know, I think that's, you know, that's just fine. It just didn't work that time. So it is, I'm not going to say that it is what it is. But that's what happened. You know, and then the rest of the day, price just meanders around. You know, in retrospect, you can look at this and say, oh, well, some of these look like they might have worked out. You know, price breaks below here, so that's not a trade. Comes up, it doesn't create a new high, so this is no good. Yeah, I mean, there really just wasn't a lot. You know, unless you were taking other factors, I guess, into consideration. That's it. So those were my RTY trades. Let's look at, sorry, I thought I had a pull up here. Let's look at oil. Oil was not my friend today. Oil just kind of, you know, there's this term that price oftentimes takes the escalator up and the elevator down. And that was kind of what was happening today. So in the morning, we just kind of, you know, price just is wacky. It's all over the place. It's moving up, moving up, moving up. And then, you know, 835, I don't know what caused this, but just rockets down. I was actually trying, once I saw it moving, I was like, oh, maybe I should play the break like I did in RTY, but I didn't get my order in here fast enough, which is good because it didn't work out. And this is the trade that I wish I would have taken today. This is the only one, you know, if I was going to call out the trade I missed, this was the trade that I missed. And we'll just circle it here. Okay. So what happens here? Well, price comes down to the bottom of the opening range. And what does price do when it touches one side of the opening range and doesn't break through? It goes back up to the other side. It pokes through here a little bit, creates a recent pivot high. Okay, so this is, you know, last time we were up here, it was way back here. Price pushed through the moving averages with, you know, decision, right? It didn't stop and take a break at all. Poked right up, came back down. Now, part of this in real time, and this is where this kind of gets tricky, because if I make this big and we look at it after the fact, this is obvious, right? Price comes down, tests the 21, tests the 9, right? The 21 is what we're looking for. Because price is above the 21, we're going to go long. Price, as we see it here, never opens and closes below, so this is the perfect entry. The problem is that in real time, this line here was above this candle, okay? I mean, this candle here pushed up so far that it pulled this line, well, I guess it's the other way around. It pushed down here, which kind of pulled it down a little bit before pushing back up. And so it was kind of moving around a lot because these big bars here move that average price, right? And so when this candle closed, this price, this line was sitting, you know, right at the top of the candle. And so I opted to say, well, that looks like a open and a close below the line. And that's, you know, that in combination with the fact that it stair-stepped down, even though the stair-stepping down isn't necessarily, you know, an issue on when you're playing this 21 SMA, because it's more of a directional trade than a continuation style trade, which is what, you know, we're really doing when we're trading off of the EMAs. So this one would have worked. In the moment, it didn't, you know, it was questionable because price appeared to have opened and closed below the moving average. Okay. In retrospect, after, you know, the dust settles, you know, that candle is poking above, but it looked different in the moment. Still, I do know that because of the market we're in, sometimes things aren't as clean as we like them to be. So I think I'm going to have to take some, you know, some, I guess, calculated risks on some of these, in order to snag them. I mean, this shot up, and I'm only looking right now for 10 ticks. If it goes more, that's great, but it has to be at least 10. And this, I would have been in at 23. The single candle goes up to 39, you know, so it easily gets my 10 ticks. This one goes up to 42. So you almost have your 20 ticks in just these two candles. So if you'd have waited, obviously it did go up. So that's the trade that I wish I would have taken. Now this one would have worked too. But again, you know, I'm actually not sure why I didn't take this one. It doesn't work out as well, but I think it still goes for 10. What, 26 up to 36, 37. So it went for 10 ticks as well. So those were two opportunities. In fact, I'm going to circle that one. Those were two opportunities that would have had me hitting my target for the day by 9:15 in the morning, right? Central time. All right, so what did I do? Well, I missed those. Price comes down. We're just being patient, just waiting. Price comes back up to my moving average here. Now, this one's kind of an interesting one because one, it was a little speculative because, first of all, I didn't get into it right away. Okay, the correct entry would have been at the break of this candle here. And that's because this candle breaks the EMA, right? Now, this is a huge candle, so I was not going to put an order in way back here, okay? But this candle closed below it. You know, it's kind of this inside, that's actually, you know, an inside bar, which is, you know, generally a signal that price might be reversing. So you would have had your order here, and then the next candle here. And that's basically what I was looking at, but I was kind of waiting patiently. And after I saw the price was not moving higher, I went ahead and I like marketed into this order about where the entry would have been originally off of this candle. And so I got in right here, but I was very cautious. And once this candle closed, I moved my stop up to one tick above this candle, which is where you see this yellow arrow. And I got stopped out. Now, the thing that's a little frustrating about this trade is that had I just let it go, it does pull back before it drops, right? Which is what I wanted it to do. Not the pullback part, but the drop part. My stop would have been 10 ticks behind my entry, right? So I entered at 81.02. The stop would have been at 81.12, okay, which is up here. So it's one tick behind the highest, you know, the deepest pullback. So it would have been, you know, it wasn't without, you know, without heat, without stress. But it would have worked had I just sat on my hands and let it play out. You know, and this one easily went for 10 or 20. This one probably went 30 ticks. 02, the lowest point was 59. So say 60, so 40 ticks ish. So, you know, that's the market that we're in. It's just choppy. It made me remember one of my Mindset Matters videos from recently where it talks about, you know, you don't know what the market's going to do basically. And my entry was correct based on my rules and it played out correctly. It just didn't play out as instantly as I wanted. And, you know, it cost me money. So small loss there, went 3 or 4 ticks. And I think that was it. You know, we have all of these where they come down. Now this one here, I'll point this out because I had Bob Anderson in my head this afternoon. I don't think he watches my videos, but if he sees this one, he'll know what I'm talking about. So he says that if you see price right about this time, right about, you know, lunchtime, if you see price break the 21 EMA, this 5-minute 21 EMA, come back to it and hold on to it for a period of time and then break towards the overnight open. Okay, let's look. Where's the overnight open? The overnight open is this gold line here. Then the odds are pretty high that price they're going to pull price back to the overnight open, and he says it could take some time. It's not going to be, you know, a quick thing. And so I was watching this literally thinking that's exactly what I had in my head. I'm like, it's holding right on this line, and I've got the overnight open up here. What are the chances it's going to get there? Okay. And so I was watching this and I'm like, well, it's too choppy. I just really don't feel comfortable. It comes up, it gives me another chance after it tests, you know, the gold line here. I'm still not sure, but I'm kind of curious. And it takes its time and it has this really deep pullback. But look where it ends up getting to. Whoop, right there. It ends up getting right back up to the overnight open. In fact, it gave me another chance here. This would have been, let's see. Okay, we broke above. So this is our first test. This is our second test. And this is a test of the 21 SMA plus the top of the opening range. Okay, so we have like kind of two things here. And even if you waited, you kind of got a second test here and then it takes off, which is something that it's been doing. So if you look at this, you have a break below, a retest, and a retest before it takes off. We saw the exact same thing happen here, essentially. Price comes down. You know, it doesn't actually break below, but it hovers, comes up, has a retest off the gold line before it takes off. So anyway, just something that I noticed. But sure enough, price eventually gets right back up to that opening range. And in fact, I was looking at this because I had these. This video is running way too long, so sorry for this. I have these support and resistance lines drawn off the 1 hour chart. And I was looking at this. Let me delete this guy. And this is, I do these, you know, just, I don't know, really because I'm bored during the day while I'm watching stuff happen. So I kind of do this kind of stuff. But I looked at this and I said, well, last time we were here, it dawdled around here and then it shot up. And I said, what are the chances that it's going to shoot up? Because we've been kind of playing around in this area. We came below, now we came up, and so this is the candle here that we're looking at. Or maybe it's this candle. Let's take a look. And I was like, what are the chances once it breaks that overnight open that we continue up? Because this is the range. See this line up here and this line up here are this line here and this line here. Okay. And sure enough, not only do we break the overnight open, but we also, I mean, we move up pretty decidedly. We don't really have any pullbacks before we get there. And as soon as we tap it, boom, rocket back down. So there we have it. Now this is our third touch. We don't take third touches, so this was not a trade. But actually I'm going to mark this one because this guy was technically, it was messy, but technically it came back to this. So that's my lesson for today. I guess my takeaway for myself is that I just have to be super patient with price action, and I've got to trust my entries, because if I had taken my A+ setup each time and just let it play out, I would have got what I needed to get. So that's where we're at. That's what I've got for you today. If you find this at all useful or interesting, be sure and subscribe. Likes and comments are also appreciated. That's a great way to help out the channel, and super easy for you to do. So do that now. And trade safe, trade your plan, and we'll talk to you tomorrow.